So if you are a real estate investor and you want to use Facebook ads to generate more off-market deals, this video is going to show you one of our most recent clients' results. He has gotten 24 leads in the past 12 days at a cost per lead of $27 per lead. And out of those 24 leads, 16 of those leads have automatically booked their own appointments at a cost per lead of $41 per booked appointment. And we have this client's projected cost per deal at around $13.50, which I'll be showing you in this video. So in total, over the past 12 days, our client has spent $662 on ads. Now, this video is going to walk you through a few different things. So one, I'm going to show you the overall strategy that we're using to generate these types of results. I'm also going to walk you through all of the numbers, the Facebook ad spend, all of the leads generated, all of the appointments generated, and even show you the funnel metrics and the landing page conversion rate and all that good stuff. And then I'm also going to show you in the ad account a day-by-day breakdown of how the ad spend works, because some people that are newer to Facebook ads or paid ads may not quite understand how leads get delivered to, a client or something like that. And so I want to show you guys, basically how the ad spend works and how you start getting leads and how all that stuff works. I'm also going to show you how we do it. So I'm going to talk about some, simple things I've learned over the past 6 years of running paid ads that basically make it so that if we get a client and they have the right markets and all that good stuff, how we know we can pretty much just plug and play this entire system and it's just going to work every single time. I'll also talk about some changes that I've made to the ad account and some of the strategy, just simple changes that I've made to make the results better. And then I'm also going to kind of show you what's next. So if you're a real estate investor considering Facebook ads, or you're a digital marketing agency and you want to kind of learn more about the back end of getting clients results, this video will be for you. So let's get into it. So this is just a screenshot here of the ad account. You can see that the ad account shows 19 leads at a cost per lead of $34, 10 booked appointments, $66 per booked appointment. Now, this is what Facebook is able to track. So on the actual back end, we've generated 24 leads and we've generated 16 booked appointments. So here's a screenshot of our client's GoHighLevel account, and you can see the 16 booked appointments here from January 24th to today, February 5th, and these are all booked by the leads. And then inside of the actual, ad account as well, the GoHighLevel account, you can see 24 records, basically contacts without or with an address, basically. So there's actually 24 leads and 16 booked appointments. So Facebook sometimes is a little bit off here, but these are the actual numbers. And now let's kind of walk through everything. So what is the overall strategy? So when this client came to us, he basically is working a job right now, and he's successfully closed some wholesale deals on the side, but he really just doesn't have the time to cold call and do any sort of manual outreach towards motivated homeowners who need to sell for cash. So basically, he was referred to me by one of my current clients and wanted to get some inbound strategies going for his business. So this is pretty much exactly what I showed him, and these are the numbers that I showed him in terms of what he can expect, based on the actual system. So the system's very simple. I've learned over the past 6 years of running ads and building funnels that, you want to find this perfect blend of, keeping things simple, but also making sure that it's not so simple that you're just getting a bunch of, not quality leads, right? So the strategy is very simple. We're running Facebook video ads, and we are taking these leads to a survey page. And I'll talk more about the specifics of this, but initially, with most clients, we will start with a simple survey page where we will collect the address, the name, the email, and the phone number of the actual homeowner. And then once they submit that survey, they are redirected to a calendar page, which is where the 16 booked appointments, came from. And then they can book an appointment there to actually talk with our client or the investor. And then from there, they just go to a simple thank you page where it just basically prepares them for the actual phone call with our client. So it's a very simple system. Now, on the back end, we also have 3 phases of automated SMS and email follow-up. I'm not going to get too much into this on the video, but basically when a survey is submitted, the contact will immediately be sent a text message and an email from our automation systems on GoHighLevel, and this basically makes it so that when somebody submits their information, instead of going, a few days or weeks and relying on our client to reach out to the leads. Some leads come in the middle of the night, some leads come, at random times. And so we want to have automation here to make the system consistent and stable. So when they fill out the survey page, they go through phase 1 of follow-up. If they engage with the follow-up, usually we see them engage with the SMS. Some clients or some leads do engage with the emails, but the majority of leads will respond to the SMS. And if they do not respond to, the SMS and email, the system will continue to follow up with them. And if they basically don't respond to phase 1, which is basically about 10 texts and 10 emails or so, then they move into phase 2, which is basically more of the same. And then if they don't respond to phase 2, then they go to phase 3, which is just more of the same. So this is the system. We're running paid ads to a survey page, collecting address, name, email, phone. Initially, I'll talk more about that in a second. And then they can book an appointment right then and there, and then they'll just go to a thank you page. And either way, they're going to get followed up with through this system. So that's the overall strategy. Now, this is the actual, this is a screenshot of the actual, funnel inside of our GoHighLevel system. So, all of our clients are using our GoHighLevel system, which is where all of the, the funnel exists, the calendar automations, all these SMS and email automations exist inside of HighLevel. And so inside of HighLevel right here, this is a screenshot of our 3-step funnel. So you can see survey page, schedule page, success page. These privacy policy and terms and conditions pages are irrelevant. No one ever clicks on those. So you can see here that the 24 leads that I showed you, right here, this is, them opting in right there. So the landing page has a 29% conversion rate. So basically for every, 100 people, if this number stays the same, 29 of them will become an actual lead where we'll get their address, name, email, phone. This is pretty high, and I'll talk about why this is high. If you're doing local markets, or you don't have, a good landing page, or you don't have enough spend, sometimes this conversion rate, we see with some clients, it's only 5%. Okay. So this is dependent on the amount of markets that our client has selected, which I'll break all that stuff down. But to keep it simple, out of 100 people that visit the landing page with the current, landing page conversion rate, 29 of them will submit their information and become a lead. And then based on, the actual people that fill out the survey, they will go to the schedule page, right? And so 16 of those individuals that filled out the initial form decided to book their own appointment. Okay, so that's a 66% booking rate. 16 divided by 24 is 66, so that's a 66% conversion rate, or it's 0.66. Okay, so that's the overall breakdown of just the strategy, and then the numbers here. Okay, for the actual funnel. So we've got 24 leads. All right, so you guys see that here, and you guys see that here. So that's where that number comes from, and these are people clicking on the ads from Facebook. All right, and then from here, we have our 16 appointments inside of our client's GoHighLevel account. And you can see here, if I actually, when you hover over the screenshot, HighLevel will tell you, the channel that the leads came from. So these are all appointments booked by the lead. This is not an ISA. This is not anything other than people coming from the Facebook ad, and then visiting the survey, and then going to the calendar page and self-booking their own appointment. Okay, so all 16 were fully automated through just the people that came from the funnel. All right, so there's the 16 appointments here. And then you can see the actual advertising spend from the ad account. All right, so this client started with us about 12 days ago, and these numbers are off slightly, like I told you, but the spend is correct. So you can see on average, the ad account is spending $50 per day. Some days it'll spend 60. Some days you can see it's spending 50, right here, 45, 50, right here it only spent 20. And I'll talk a little bit about that. But the the campaign budget we have for this client is $50 per day initially. And then, after some changes that I'm going to be making, and I'll show you guys, those changes, we're going to scale this up to 75 per day. Okay. So that's just a walkthrough of the actual numbers. Okay, so now I want to show you in the actual ad account a day-by-day breakdown of just how the ad spend works and just the lead distribution that gets sent to the client. So this is the client's ad account. So you can see here I have the dates selected for January 24th to February 5th. So I can just refresh it so you guys can see. So we only have one campaign here, and this is cold traffic. Now inside of the ad sets, I'm going to move this over, but it's all the same dates. So you're going to see here if you're familiar with real estate wholesaling, this is a client who is virtually wholesaling. So what that means is, he lives in, one area, and with virtual wholesaling, what's really cool about it is, the basis of that business model, if you set it up correctly, and one of the main value propositions of running this type of business model is you can generate leads really anywhere in the United States as long as somebody's willing to buy these properties, right? I'm not going to break down the whole wholesaling business model, but basically what's cool about, these types of clients and really the direction we're heading for, the type of clients we really want to work with is virtual wholesaling. And what's really cool is you can see here we have basically, see if it'll let me click. So it's not going to show me how many ad sets I have. I think I have that column filtered, but there's around 12, maybe 15 of these markets here. So we do it by state when we're doing a virtual client. Sometimes we batch all of the areas into one ad set, but for this specific strategy, I knew that it would be best to split, all of these different markets into their own ad set. And so just to keep it simple here, we've got, let's just say 15 different states, and there's all different types of counties and cities selected in these different states, but you have Ohio, Oregon, New Jersey, Maine, Maryland, Rhode Island, South Carolina, California, Georgia, Florida, DC, Maryland. So some of these aren't just states, some of these are, just the market, but most of these are states. And you can see here that let me pause this so it doesn't show everything. Okay, so if you look at each of these ad sets here, you can actually see, I don't know where let me make myself a little smaller. Okay. So we can see all the same things. All I did was change the columns here, but you can see the amount of spend that is going to each of these different states or markets. I would just call them markets. And so right here in the campaign, we have one campaign, right, with a campaign budget of $50 per day. And so because we're using what's called CBO, which means campaign budget optimization, we are telling Facebook, hey, here's our budget of $50 per day. And these are all the inputs, right? Which is a combination of the markets, the placements, the ad copy, the ad image, the ad videos, all that stuff. We're telling Facebook, hey, we have $50 per day to spend. These are all of the markets that we, want to generate leads in. And we want you to basically decide where to spend the money based on, where people are going to actually convert, right? And so there's two kind of ways to do this. There is the campaign budget optimization, which is what I'm doing for this client. And then there's ad set budget. So ad set budget would be, hey, I have $50 per day and I have these markets. Let's say I'm just going to say there's 10. I know there's more than that, but just for the sake of keeping the number simple, let's say you had 10 markets and $50 per day. Now with ad set budget, you, the media buyer, or, whoever's running the ads, is basically responsible for directing the spend to the specific markets. So for example, maybe if I had 10 markets, I would do $5 a day in each market, right? Which potentially, right, could cause the campaign to not perform because you're explicitly telling Facebook to spend that $5 per day, even if it doesn't think it can get an actual conversion, which with this specific strategy, a conversion is measured as somebody that visited the Facebook video ad, went to the survey page, and actually filled out the survey page. So in order for them to be considered a lead, they have to have given us our address, name, email, and phone, and then they've landed on the calendar page. And when they land on this calendar page, we send a conversion API. We actually send the conversion API when the survey is submitted, which I'll show you. But to keep it simple, when they fill out the survey, they basically land on the calendar page, and that's what's determined a lead, right? Because we're not driving traffic to the calendar page directly. We're driving it here. This is where, we have kind of our lead form submission page. And then when they submit it, they go here. So this is what a conversion event is for us. Now, when you're running an ad set budget, you're responsible for directing the spend, right? You can even see here the budget is using campaign budget. So that's why you'll see that each of these different markets are spending totally, they're all kinds of different spend. So if I filter by the most spent, you can see the most was spent in Florida, and the second most was Texas, and then the third most is California. And all of these other markets have not been really, some of these aren't even really spending. So I'll talk more about what's next, but what I've found works really well with campaign budget is when you have multiple markets, it's a great way to load up and split a bunch of the markets and then let Facebook decide where it's going to get that conversion, which once again is after they fill out the survey and they land up over here. All right. So with the ad set budget, maybe, I would have set 10 ad sets at $5 a day, so it's evenly distributed. But because Facebook charges you based on impressions, Facebook is going to charge you whether people convert as a lead or not, right? It's not like a pay per click or pay per lead. You're going to pay either way. Like we're paying on these ad sets either way. And some of these, this is where it gets a little bit more advanced, where one, I may talk to the client and say, hey, based on what we're currently spending, Facebook is distributing our spend here. So either we want to focus more on these, or there's other things you can do to start getting more spend here by giving these ad sets a new fresh start. Because the way that it works with Facebook is when you run your paid ads, what happens is Facebook will show those ads to a small group within your audience. So let's just keep it broad, and I'll just say Florida in general, right? So that doesn't include all the targeting and other things we do here, but just in general, Facebook's going to show the ads to a small group of people in Florida, right? And Texas, California, and on and on and on. And so based on those initial conditions, and I've seen this vary from the most random reasons and reasons you really can't even track. But sometimes you could launch ads, right, in a market, and you launch ads that day and no one's there to convert. They're just, for whatever the reason, maybe they clicked on another ad, maybe they're with family, maybe whatever it is, the group of people that they showed the ad to just didn't resonate with the ad, whatever it is, right? And so what can happen if you're running ad set budget is you're basically forcing spend to markets every single day, regardless of if they're going to convert or not. And so if you run the campaign budget, I don't necessarily know, I'm not smart enough to know that, hey, when we launched on January 24th, Florida was going to be the winner, and Texas and California would be the winners for generating the actual leads, right? So when you force the spend, I could have spent $5 on each one of these ad sets, and maybe, let's just say 7 of them didn't even get any leads. All of these would have had the equivalent spend as the other ad sets, right? And so when you do the CBO, you're letting Facebook decide, okay, well, people are converting in Florida and Texas and California. And some of these too, you'll start to see, give it a few days and it is spending in Ohio and Georgia and DC and North Carolina, like it's spending right here. But it's not overspending or forcing spend because it's leveraging all the data that Facebook has, which is maybe for whatever reason, I'm just making this up just so you understand the concept, but maybe in Georgia, right? People are more likely to fill out the form on a weekend. So maybe it's not going to spend that $5 a day every day, Monday through Friday. And then maybe there's a spike in the spend on the weekends, right? This is the power of really just controlling the inputs, which in my case is plugging in the correct markets, plugging in the correct placements, plugging in the correct ads and copy and all that stuff. And then let Facebook decide the rest, which is where to spend it and when to spend it, right? So I'm going to walk you through every single day just so you guys can get a feel for how this actually happened, because you're seeing it now 12 days later and, it didn't just start like this. So if I go to the day that the ads started, we can see here it immediately spent $22. So 30% of the spend went to Florida, right? And if I had just put $5 per day, you can see these ad sets right here that spent 5 or more per day, they didn't produce a lead. And so it can go either way, but potentially by running this type of strategy, Florida was able to generate 2 leads, right, at a cost per lead of basically $30, since if you look at the total spend, 60 divided by 2 is 30. So we got those 2 leads, right, which we may have not gotten by forcing spend to other markets for whatever the reason. It's the weekend, whatever the reason, right? And so that's day 1. And then let's look at day 2. So you can see here now, this is based on it's going to distribute, or it's organized based on the most spent. So for whatever reason, it decided to spend more the next day in Texas, right? And it didn't actually get a lead that day, but it did get a lead in Florida, right? And so you can see here, it didn't even spend at all in New Jersey. And some of these markets may be more competitive. There's other advertisers that are running ads. And so, like I said, if you force that spend, Sometimes you don't give Facebook enough room to work and variation, and then you just force spend, and it doesn't convert at all. So that's day 2, and then we got day 3, and then another. So this time we got a winner in Texas. All right, nothing in Ohio, nothing in Florida. You can see the markets shifting day to day, and where it's basically distributing your campaign. And then we can go to the 27th, and then we got a winner in Florida again. Not more spend in Texas that day, but nothing. And then we just keep going down the line, and you guys can just look at the markets and how they shift here, and then the amount of spend that goes out to each market. So on this day, we got 3 leads in Florida, and we paid $5 per lead for this specific ad set. We got 1 in California now. So if we looked at basically the first 4 days here, nothing converted in California after $30 in spend. But on day 5, we got a lead in California. So now if you look at the first 5 days overall, we've got 7 in Florida, we've got 1 in Texas, and now we've got 1 in California. And Ohio had, up until this point, even spent more than California, but it hadn't produced a lead. And so we go to the 29th, 1 more lead in Florida, 1 more lead in Texas, and then you can see it's not spending in these markets. So like I said, now that we have some information, we can relaunch some of these campaign or ad sets that haven't spent if we want to focus more on getting leads in those markets. But we have to be careful that we don't reset the learning for the markets that are proven, because with campaign budget, if you, let's say, restart a bunch of ad sets that are not producing leads because you want to reset spend in those markets, you could reset the learning that Facebook has on the winning markets. All right. But if you're wondering, well, if you really want leads in some of those markets, how do you get Facebook to start spending there? That's usually in a situation like that. That's a conversation with the client. So I can't really tell you exactly what I would do. It would be based on feedback, but we really just want to see what Facebook does on its own when we just load the correct inputs. So you can see here again, Florida's winning again, Texas is winning. And really, it's all just based on when the actual ad went live and those initial conditions that it launched the ad with, and whoever it showed it to. And for whatever reason, Florida's kind of consistently producing leads, right? And so we can see the 31st now, no leads from any of the markets right here. And some of this too is not fully accurate because Facebook misses attribution on certain days, but I'm just going off this data so that you can see it right here. And then February 1st starts, no leads again, but look, it only spent $17. So this is something that no one person is going to be able to determine every single time, right? Which is when to spend, right? So for whatever reason, only Facebook probably knows this in the algorithm. Why did it not spend $50? This is where this stuff gets good, because had I chosen the ad set budget and forced spend, I may have spent all of the $60 right here and gotten no leads, which would obviously raise the cost of the actual leads over time if you consistently spend your full budget on days that, for whatever reason, Facebook is not thinking it's going to convert. So we only spent $18 that day, but we didn't get any leads. However, if we had the ad set budget, we would have spent, $60 no matter what, and we may have not got any leads, or we could have got a bunch, right? It goes either way, but I tend to lean more on the side of, let the algorithm and the AI and machine learning do things that, you're probably not going to be able to figure out, right? So that's Feb 1st. Then the next day we spent 60 again. So there's no leads generated on this day. And then the 3rd, so we got 2 more leads here again. And those were both in Florida. And then Sunday, we got 2 more leads, 1 in Texas, 1 in Florida. And then today, it's only midday, but we've already gotten 1 lead. And so if you now look at the entire duration of the campaign, we can now see there's the 19 leads. Like I said, this is not fully accurate. It's actually 24. But there you can see how it distributed the actual spend. So I wanted to show you guys this because I think this is what's cool. This is what happens, right? And so now, which I'll kind of go back into the sheet now and talk about what's next and some changes that we did make in the actual ad account, which could reflect a higher cost per lead. So before I do that, let me show you how we do it. So basically, the way that we run our clients' ad accounts is we use one master pixel. So the way to kind of illustrate this is just by showing you, let's say we have 3 clients that we're running the same strategy for. So what I told you guys is that when somebody fills out the survey, we send that data to Facebook, right? So if you have one client with their own pixel, then what happens is they basically, let me zoom out here. We will send, right, that client's, when the lead fills out the form, we're going to send that client's, that data to the client's pixel, and it pretty much works in isolation, right? But we have a master pixel. So what that means is, let's say we have 20 clients spending $3,000 a month, $60,000 a month in advertising spend. What we're now able to do is with newer ad accounts and newer clients without any pixel data or things like that, we're now leveraging all of the other spend from all of the other clients by optimizing for, the lead event on Facebook with clients that have already maybe been working with us for years, right? Or 6 months. And so this is a brand new ad account, right? And so instead of waiting maybe a few months for the pixel to get dialed in, we're able to start producing, these types of results within the first 12 days, where the client now has 24 leads because we have, a master pixel that is sending data, right, back to Facebook for all of our clients. And then within each of our clients' ad accounts, we can actually filter, which is the conversion API stuff I'll show you, based on, the client's specific type of leads that they want to generate or market. So we're still able to control everything. Like, we control the markets, we control the ads, we can control the copy, we can control the headline, we can control the landing page, all that stuff. We can even control what specific data we send to the client's ad account from this, we can control the Facebook conversion API data we send to the specific client's ad account, and it can be independent of other client ad accounts that are running. So maybe one client, they just want volume, they just want leads coming in that are property owners, and then another client may want more quality leads, and we can control those two things, even though we have one master pixel, by having one, the conversion API, which I'll show you, and then two, through the actual survey questions. So so this is going to kind of go to this point here, but basically after 16 leads were generated, right, for this client that I'm referring to, we basically made a slight shift by adding in additional survey qualifying questions. So initially with the client, we just started with collecting the address of the lead, name, email, and phone. And so basically the first 16 leads, which probably was right around there, give or take, we were able to just get address, name, email, and phone number. And so right here, over the past 5 days, you can see the cost per lead. Let's see if sometimes it's not going to track it perfectly, but basically you can see the cost per lead went up from $32 to, I think it's 45 or 43. Now, the reason for that is we didn't change any of the ads, we didn't change any of the targeting, we added in additional survey qualifying questions. So we went from just address, name, email, and phone number to just start getting people to opt in and establish like a baseline. And then after those first 16 leads were generated, we added in about 4 or 5 more qualifying questions. So we asked, instead of just address, now the lead has to tell us that their reason for selling, their time frame, their property type, if they want full retail value or if they want cash. And so just by, shifting the amount of questions, we slowly will, this conversion rate of the landing page will start to drop. Not like, if it drops too much, then that's where, we talk to the client and say, hey, we make these changes just kind of on our own, but this conversion rate will start to drop, right? Because now people have to give more information before they're considered a lead. So just out of, just pure numbers, if, 10 people go to a landing page and all they have to do is click one button, you're going to get a higher conversion rate than if they have to fill out a 100-question survey, right? You may not even get anyone. So when we added in those additional qualifying questions, which the intention is to get higher quality, more serious leads, our lead costs will go up because it takes more clicks and it takes more people to fill out the actual survey, right? So that's what I would say is the reason for the cost going up over the last 5 days. But give it time, and as long as it stays within a range, which I'll show you the range that we kind of will be looking for, then it's fine because now our client's spending less time trying to get in contact with leads. He has more information up front, and we're just overall getting people that are, more serious, right? So these 3 points kind of go together, which is how we do it. So we have the master pixel. Then we start with kind of the most simple strategy. That way we can just get people opting in, make sure the markets are working, make sure the ads are dialed in. And then once we know that Facebook knows who to show the ads to and we're getting consistent leads, then we start, raising the barrier to entry a little bit more and see how that affects the cost. And if cost, stays at, let's just say $40 per lead with all those questions, then we can tell our client, hey, we can even add more questions and start experimenting with the conversion API and stuff like that, and see if we can get even more serious leads at, let's say, $50 a lead. You're going to get less leads, but the goal is going to be so that you have less people to talk to convert, right? But if the client's like, no, I don't want to, make it too hard, we'll find that sweet spot so that it keeps producing consistent leads, and then, he can close deals, right? So these 3 points go together, using the master pixel, starting with the simple strategy initially, and then after you establish a baseline. And I made this suggestion to the client early because I knew that he had enough markets where this would most likely work. If this was a local market with low ad spend, we wouldn't really probably deviate at all from this, because you could shoot your cost way too high and it just won't make sense. So these 3 points, this one, and this one all go together. And then the other thing that we do is we use UGC content. So basically, you can go to Fiverr and just type in UGC, and what you'll find are a bunch of people that are willing to basically, you can pay them, 95, 185, 65, 135. These are all people that you can basically pay, and they will make video ads for you. So all you have to do is give them a script. And so what we have found, we started using video ads. We still do some image ads, but what we found with video is, you can speak more specifically to the problem that you want these individuals to have when they're seeing the ad. If you do an image, right, someone can just kind of click it and just get to the survey page. If you have a video and you kind of call out the audience and, say, hey, are you experiencing this specific problem? And people watch that maybe for 20, 30 seconds before they actually fill out their information or click, then you're going to get more qualified traffic to the actual survey page right here. So those are the things that we're doing that kind of have made the difference so far. And I'd say that these are the main ones: the pixel, video content, and then, leveraging the survey, qualifying questions. And then I'll talk to you guys a little bit about, I'll just show you the API stuff you can do and some other stuff I'm experimenting with. So give me a second. Okay, so this is inside of our GoHighLevel account, and basically this is how the conversion API actually looks. Like, this is all it is. So what I referred to over here, where we have multiple clients and then we're all sending that conversion API data to one master pixel, this is how this actually works. So inside of every single client's GoHighLevel account with us, we have this workflow automation, which is basically shows that when someone submits that survey, right, right here, right, when they submit that survey, then we are going to send that conversion API data back to Facebook. And what's cool about this is that you're not relying on Facebook to track when they just land on the next page. You're actually, sending concrete data back to Facebook that somebody actually submitted the survey, not just landed on a page or you start double tracking things. So this actually will send data back to Facebook. Now, this is where what comes next for this client this is how we do this. So I'll show you. So let's just say that after making the change where we've added more qualifying questions within the survey, and the survey and the ads are producing a good cost per lead, now we can start to experiment with this. So I'll show you one way to experiment with it. So above this conversion API, I can add in an if-else condition. And now, because I have a qualifying survey, I can actually choose different pieces of data that we collect in the survey to determine if we want to send the API information or not. So for example, let's say the contact details, I can go to a custom field. So let's say reason for wanting to sell, for example. So since we're using a GoHighLevel survey, when somebody submits the survey, if we're adding in qualifying questions and one of those questions is the reason for wanting to sell, we can actually select from the dropdown that the user selected when they filled out the survey. So we can say their reason for wanting to sell is, let's just say financial hardship is like a good quality lead. We can either choose one qualifying piece of information that the lead selected and simply save the action, and we can run it like that. So now when someone submits the survey, if they don't meet that condition of selecting that their reason for wanting to sell is financial hardship, they're gonna fail this condition, and they're gonna go over here, which is none, which means Facebook won't get the data because we still collect their name, email, phone, all the questions in the survey, because we're not disqualifying the lead, which is another advanced thing you can do. But we're just simply saying, hey, if their reason for selling they selected is not financial hardship, they're going to fail the condition, and we're not going to send that data back to Facebook and tell them, hey, we want more leads like that, because it won't even know that it generated the actual lead, right? And so you can add one qualifying question, which could be a little bit too broad, or a little bit too narrow initially. With this type of client, we can afford to experiment here, because we know that we're getting consistent leads, and we would still be collecting the leads, but over time we're going to start to tell Facebook, hey, these are the things we want from Facebook. These are the types of leads. So you can add one main qualifying condition, which would just look like this, or you can stack them. So we can do another condition below here, and we can say or. So or is going to be more broad than and. And would be like an exclusion of, it would have to meet this condition and whatever condition I put here. So maybe I want to do the top 3 reasons. So maybe reason for wanting to sell is financial hardship or divorce. And then if I want to do another one, reason for wanting to sell, is it going to let me type? Hold on. Contact details. I may just have to scroll here. Hold on. Reason, and then is, and then maybe I'll do inherited. Okay. So I could stack 3 of these, 4 of these, 5 of these, as many selections I have in the survey. But obviously if you stack all of them, then it defeats the purpose, because any one of those options can be selected, which is the same as just not having a filter at all. So I could stack one condition like this of reason for wanting to sell. Maybe these are the best 3 reasons, or I can add more or change these. And if you have your own survey, you can change what these inputs are as well. So these are just the ones that I've designed, but maybe you want to, you want to eliminate all these reasons and consolidate them into 3, right? So maybe you don't even want relocating or downsizing or something else. You just want to consolidate all those into something else, right? That way you just have less options for the lead, so that they're going to more likely fall into the filtered categories, because there's just less options. So you can do something like this, and you can also stack an additional condition of an and or, okay? So the way this is laid out right now would be, and this is what I would experiment with for a client like this, because if we go too narrow, like I said, we don't want to stop the lead flow and not give Facebook any learning and reset or confuse it. So we want to give it enough options. So maybe I would do something like this: financial hardship, divorce, and or inherited. And then maybe I want to do, let's see if we do when or listed. So is this home listed? If we don't want any listings, then we want this to be listed. This is our survey question. So then is no. So now we've told, if we saved this right here, now we've told Facebook, hey, someone submits a survey, we want to pass them through this condition. The condition states that their reason for wanting to sell is financial hardship or divorce or inherited, and they said that the property is not listed. Now, if they don't meet these conditions, right, that exact condition of either financial hardship, divorce, or inherited, any one of those, and explicitly that it is not listed, or they said it's not listed, then they're going to fail the condition. And so now, over time, you're going to start to tell Facebook, hey, these are the leads we want. And you can add as many one of these segments as you'd like as well. I think what's another, I think I can do property type. Yeah. So I'm trying to remember the questions we have. So if I wanted to do the property type, right, maybe I want to do is not maybe I just want to do single family. So then I would do, if I just wanted to do single family, I would just do single family. If I wanted to do no mobile home and then all these other ones, then I can just do that, and then I can save it. And then once you start stacking these and your ads are working and you're getting more submissions, then you're going to start to build up a list of people that are meeting these conditions and sending Facebook, the correct data that you'd like. So that's what would be next for a client like this, since one, they have the budget and they have enough markets where we can experiment with this and they're getting leads at a certain cost already. And if we notice any changes, then we can just, maybe remove one of these conditions and make it not as strict, right? But that's the idea of how to use this as well. And then when you're really confident, you can actually disqualify the leads themselves from even being able to submit the survey with GoHighLevel's conditional logic feature, which I might as well show you. So give me a second. Okay, so this is inside of the actual survey. So this is where we mapped those fields in the conversion API. It's based on, these are custom fields with radio buttons. So this is what the lead will actually submit. So just to show you the concept really quickly, let's say that if they put their reason, or one of the more common ones would be a mobile home, right? Because if you're trying to flip a property, unless you specialize in mobile homes, then sometimes these people don't even own the land and you can't even do anything with it. So you can disqualify by clicking on the actual question and go to mobile home. And then you can either reroute them to a certain question, or you can actually just choose disqualify immediately or disqualify after submit. And if you choose disqualify immediately, let me save this and show you guys. I like to show you guys how this stuff works because that's how I learn. So if I preview this form here, it's going to load up. So if I click any one of these are fine. Now, if I choose mobile home, see how it just closes the survey. Now, in theory, this is awesome, but if you refresh it, I can just resubmit it again. So some people are smart enough to potentially do that, but it's a potential, barrier you can add to make sure that, people don't continue to fill it out, right? You could also disqualify after they submit so that if they won't see that message immediately. And after they submit it, it won't allow them to book an appointment, because you can actually change in the options here. You can change on the disqualify after submit. You can make it so that it just sends a message. And by sending a message here after they are disqualified, after they submit, what happens is, because you're disqualifying them after they submit and you're just sending them a message, then they don't go to the calendar page. They won't be redirected. So they won't book an appointment. So that is a better way to do it, is after they submit it, just put a message and maybe it just says, thank you for submitting. But then that way you won't see any appointments come through for people that don't meet the questions in the actual survey here. So this is all done in HighLevel. So that's another way to incorporate some advanced stuff. So those are the types of things that we will do for a client like this. And then this is another thing I'm doing with a separate client, which I figured I would just add in here. So give me a second. Okay, so this is back in the conversion API. So one of the things that I'm doing for a client as well that was getting leads that were out of the target markets was this. So when they fill out the survey, instead of these conditions, which are like qualifying questions on the survey, we would delete, these. And what we're doing is, in the state right here, and you could do this with city too, but you got to be careful because cities can be pretty narrow. But what we can do is state is, and then let's say I'm targeting California and I'm getting a lot of people that are filling out information for properties out of state for whatever the reason. The main reason is because Facebook changed in the last probably year, where actually maybe even more recently than that, you used to be able to target people living in this location and then choose your target market. Now it's at default people living in or recently in this location. So let's say you're running an ad in Los Angeles, California. If before you were targeting people that lived there, right? Or Facebook's best guess of people that lived there, right? Probably based on their internet usage and usage of the app. If over the past year, it's only being used in this location, they probably live there or work there, right? Now, if you have now, which is the people living in or recently in, now how many people travel to LA, right? To fly or travel or do business or things like that. So you may get people that see the ad that are recently in the location. So what I've done for another client, not this client, that's targeting one specific market, is we did change the state to the specific state the client is targeting. That way we just are not getting any leads out of the actual area. And out of the last 12 leads since we did the strategy, we have only gotten leads within that state. And that was a combination of changing the ad copy, the ad headline, and this conversion API. But that's one tangible thing that I'm also doing right now, so that when people fill out the actual survey, it's not going to allow Facebook to get that data if it's not the state that you're programming. And since we use a Google autocomplete on our survey, whenever we pull in an actual state from a lead, it's going to always have the abbreviation of the state, and it would just be CA for California, right? So you can only get away with this if, when you're getting leads to submit their information, you're lining up what you program here. Like if you just let leads just type in the address and there's no Google, then people are going to just type in different formats and things like that they may not meet that condition. So this is one of the other things we're doing there. And then lastly, this is also what's next. So this is a projection of the client's ad account after we've established this baseline. So we know this client's lead cost per lead, right, over the past 12 days, including after making the changes in the survey, was $27 per lead. And we know our system takes 40 leads to get one deal. So now that we have an established lead cost, I can go to the client and basically show them, the projection, which they already know, but this is just so you guys understand what we do and how we do it. So if their lead cost is staying consistent at, let's just say, $25, for them to get one lead, they're going to spend $1,000 to get, for them to get one deal, they're going to spend $1,000 to get the deal, because they're paying consistently $25 per lead. $25 per lead times 40 leads is $1,000 in ad spend. And we've already, this booking rate is 20%, 8 out of the 40. So we're already way past that with a 66% booking rate. So we know our client is going to fall between a $25 per lead and $50 per lead. If we make too many changes where the cost gets out of this range, then they're going to spend, $2,000, right? So since we've found that, keeping it in that sweet spot is usually what works best, we know accurately that the client is going to fall within $25 per lead and $50, as long as we don't make too many changes. And basically that means their cost per deal is going to be between $1,000 and $50, or $1,000 and $2,000. So if you cut it right down the middle, it'll be about $1,500. If you, really accurately just put the lead cost of $40, then it's going to be less than that. It'd be $1,600, 40 times 40. But this is it. This is what we do. And we know that our clients are going to make, 20 grand on a wholesale deal. So for every $2,000 at worst, they're going to spend, they're going to make $20,000, right? So wanted to give you guys an update on this client's results and what we're doing. If you are a real estate investor, you're looking for done-for-you services like this one, you can go to newbreedinvestor.com, or you can just click one of the links below. Book in a paid consultation with me. We'll go over your markets. We'll go over your projected spend and basically give you an accurate representation of what's going to happen with your account and answer any questions you may have, show you the system, all that good stuff. And if you want to do the ads yourself, there's another link below that, which basically you can run ads with our software. And if you click on that link, you can just see a video of me demoing that, so you guys can see how to run your own ads. But that is it for this video. Hope it finds you guys well, and let me know what you guys think. All right, peace.